Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Season 10, Episode 43, overall 530 CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Automall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210. Tell them Chris Palme sent you, or you can email the dealership at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership has been family run and operated here in the city of Guelph since 1969, and yours truly has been a customer of Barry Cullen Chevrolet for the last 25 years. And I want to give a special shout out to the service consultants at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, specifically Matt Goldsmith and Greg Smith, for your excellent customer service and for going beyond your means with a customer. And I highly recommend Barry Cullen Chevrolet, not just for their great GM products, but for their great customer service as well. I hope everyone is doing well on this Thursday, May 15th, 2025. We're getting very close to the Victoria Day long weekend here in Canada. And based out of Guelph today, the weather is 23 Celsius, around 78, and it feels more like summer weather as well. And I'm looking forward to my guest today. I met her through TikTok, and this is her first appearance on our show. And her name is Ronnie Littlewood. She's a clinical director, registered social worker, and the founder of the Couples Clinic in Sarnia, Ontario. And Ronnie has been working in the helping field for over 20 plus years now. And we're going to bring on Ronnie Littlewood right now. Good afternoon, Chris. Ronnie. How are you?
I'm very good. Yourself,
How are you?
I'm great.
I am good. Well, thank you so much. You're my 538th episode today, so now I think of you as number 538.
Very good. I love that.
How are things in your part of the Ontario, in beautiful Sarnia, Ontario?
We are experiencing some wonderful warm weather, and I think the vibration of the city, people are excited. We have the local Legion is doing Catch the Ace tonight, and the pot in the city is up to, I think it's over $500,000. So that's the general buzz around the community today.
What do you enjoy the most about living in Sarnia, Ontario?
There's so many things. We originally, I worked in Brantford and I lived in Cambridge for like a decade and a half. And what ended me coming up here was a few things. I loved their white sand beaches, and Lake Huron has got the most beautiful turquoise waters. You would swear that you were in the Caribbean. We always seem to have incredibly beautiful weather, and I always loved living 6 minutes from Michigan. That was a huge reason why we relocated to this community. So it was just, and the people. Sarnia is the third largest senior population in Canada. I think half of our population is over the age of 50. So it's got a little bit of a slower pace. It's got a little bit of a smaller town vibe to it, which makes it feel more community oriented.
Yeah, being in Guelph and not far from Cambridge, both cities are now over 150, 160,000 people, and it's a much faster pace and much more traffic. And the times I've been to Sarnia to visit a friend, it's really been nice. And you're right, the water is so clear. It's just amazing. And I'm hoping to get back up to the Sarnia this summer because it is beautiful. And also they have a great hockey team too, the Sarnia Sting.
Yeah, there's a huge community. People get behind this thing, and it's one of those things that we all rally for. We're looking for a win every single season.
Ronnie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'd love to. So I would say hi. My name is Ronnie Littlewood. I am a registered social worker and therapist. And about 11 years ago, I started the couples clinic in Sarnia, Ontario. I started it in the basement of my house, and it just continued to grow. Um, and part of the reason I started it was I've always kind of been in love with love, if that makes any sense. And I've studied love for a really, really long time. What makes it, what breaks it, how to make it better, how to feel more loved, how to love myself, how to love others. And this obsession turned into a pursuit in education, getting my master's degree, and so that I could start to learn how to teach others. I've always liked teaching, and for me, it was a natural fit because it was something that I was intensely passionate about. What else about me? I'm a mama of four, two birth, two adopted. I'm a grandma, uh, and I I have always wanted to just present as very genuine and transparent, even though sometimes I come across as a little flaky, a little weird, a little salty, a little rough around the edges. But I think it's real and people relate to real better than anything else.
I found this out too. Whatever career you're in, whether it's radio and media like I am, or like what you're doing as a relationships coach, be yourself. Don't be somebody that you're not, because people can sense if you're being fake and phony.
Right, for sure.
I have to ask you this, Ronnie. How did you come up with the name The Couples Clinic? And what were some of the early challenges of starting up your own business from your home?
Okay. How did I come up with the couples clinic? Well, for 16 years before I finally ventured into entrepreneurship, I worked in the field of child abuse. And I remember I was stressed out one day and I was sitting in a parking lot and trying to figure out couples counseling. Where do you go and who do you see? And like where do you turn, and it really wasn't clear. And I remember being really frustrated because I was sitting directly across from a McDonald's, and there was a Canadian Tire and there was something else. And I remember thinking, everybody knows if you want a burger, you go to McDonald's. And if you need tires, you go to Canadian Tire. But where do you go for couples therapy? And then I thought, you know what? I need to do that. I felt like in that moment, that was like, boom, one of those light bulbs go off. And it was that idea of, I should make a clinic just for couples. I guess I'll call it the couples clinic. So it started with a thought, but it probably took about 15 years for me to bring it into fruition. And by the time I was about just about 40, and most of us, when we're having that kind of existential life crisis of what am I doing with my life and I'm 40 and I'm, halfway over, it was kind of like that. I got to do this or else I'm going to regret it. And I would rather, and I live by a life motto, and the life motto is this, is I would rather fail spectacularly than die with regret. And I knew that if I did not try this, then I would die with regret. I didn't want to leave this planet without having checked that box. And so I started doing it at night, and I put a little advertisement, and I thought, who the heck is going to come? And it never, from the moment I opened my door, even from my own home, it never stopped. The phone started ringing because there's such a need for this kind of work. I mean, you have to look at it this way. When we get married, right, it's not just a romantic relationship, it's very much a financial relationship. It's the biggest one you're ever going to make in your life, and if it breaks up, there's nothing that's going to be more financially devastating than a divorce. In fact, statistics show that it often takes up to 10 years to financially recover and be in the same place that you were pre-divorce. So there's good
Wow.
reason to want to make it work, other than I love this person, we need to communicate more, and I don't want to lose half my house and half my pension, right?
Ronnie, I can relate to what you're doing too, switching careers later in life. I just started doing this 5 years ago at the age of 47. So for anyone out there, age is just a number, and if you have a passion for something, and I can tell Ronnie how passionate you are, uh, age is just a number, and you should go out and do it. And I had to ask you this also too, Ronnie. I was born in '72, so back in the '70s and '80s, it was rare to see anybody get a divorce. How much has that changed over the last 30 years? And how much of an impact has the internet and social media had on relationships and marriages and divorce rates going up?
Well, if I can start with the good news is when we look at Stats Canada, divorce is down, like down significantly, especially when we look at what it looked like in the 90s and then the early 2000s. In fact, it almost like came to a dead halt, not dead halt, but it significantly slowed down circa 2020 with the pandemic. With the pandemic, people started to reinvest and recognized the importance of a relationship and safety, and started to try harder. I think when we think of us Gen X kids, and one of the reasons that people didn't divorce often was shame. It didn't mean that their marriages were happier. They just didn't have opportunities. Even like, frankly, I actually think it was even here in Ontario, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was not until 1973 that a woman could get a bank account. So, how is she going to live a life and create and leave an abusive relationship when I'm not even allowed to hold a bank account in my name because of my gender? So we've seen an explosion of divorce, and now we see a kind of a coming back, a more traditional approach to learning. I don't want to have an unhappy relationship like my grandparents. I don't want to be divorced like my parents. This is the millennials. So we see this real turnabout with this generation, both millennials and Gen Z, and wanting to have equitable and equal marriages where both partners are working out of the home, both partners are responsible for household roles and responsibility, and both partners are having hands on with raising kids. And as a couples therapist who's been involved now, who's been doing this for 11 years, that's not the trend that I see in older generations. So it excites me to know that the newer generations are getting it right, and I'm guessing that's why they're staying married.
Ronnie, I had to get your opinion on this too. What is the number one issue with marriages and relationships right now? Is it the money aspect, or is it the lack of communication nowadays?
Again, I would say it's almost never about money. It's about how we communicate with money. So it depends. Okay, so first marriages, it's almost always communication. We can't talk about it, mostly because one of us is a verbal processor and wants to talk about it. And the verbal processor almost always falls in love with the cognitive processor. In other words, I want to shut down and think about it. So one's all fight, one's all flight. And so teaching these couples how to sit in uncomfortable conversation so that they can work through the issue, they can hear a complaint, they can give a repair Most people didn't get taught how to do that. And then they got married and then thought that what you see on TV and the movies is real life. It isn't. And then feel devastated or attacked or hurt or blamed when they sit down and try to have an uncomfortable conversation because they never had an opportunity. So that's like that. But there was two parts to that. What was your question again?
The first part of the question, what are some of the reasons why marriages and relationships kind of go south? Like, is it the
Oh,
money, the financial aspect, or the communication aspects of it?
right. So the first marriage, it's always about communication. But it's interesting what happens with the second marriage, right? So, and I've heard this, Chris. I many times I've heard this. I've heard people say, if I had worked as hard in my first marriage as I am in my second, I wouldn't have been divorced. So people go into the second marriage going, okay, this communication stuff is really important. We got to figure this out if we're going to make this one work, right? But then with the second marriages and on, it's this idea of blended families. And what you're blending is values, value about work, value about rest, value on money, value on spirituality, value on cleanliness. And so it's often that. First marriages, because they often meet when they're younger, they grow up together and they develop their values together. But second marriages, like I'm 35, my values are well entrenched. So then getting these couples to learn how to blend them, to integrate them, to make space for them, that's where they can often get tripped up. And that's why a lot of second marriages won't make it, if that makes any sense.
For those people that are watching this live stream in audio, and I wanted to, I'm going to reward this. What is the stereotypes of a couple therapy, and what is the difference between that and a marriage counselor?
Well, marriage counselor, couples therapist, same thing, same
Okay.
role. I think it's this idea of, and it's everything that I try not to be. I try not to be what they portray on TV, which is this judge, jury, and executioner. This he's all wrong, she's all right. Because any good qualified couples therapist will tell you that I don't work for the husband or the wife or whichever person it is if they're in a same sex relationship. That's not my client. My client is the relationship. My client is the marriage. That means that I have to bring forward any words, thoughts, or behaviors or situation that I think is going to be a threat to the relationship. Um, and if you can do that with dignity and respect, kindness and compassion, then you can get so much further. I think sometimes there's this idea, especially with men. I have a heart for men. Men often feel like beat up or they feel like they're getting dragged into marriage counseling, and if I don't get it right, then I'm going to get everybody mad at me and I'm getting blamed for anything. And I would want every man out there to feel like they have an opportunity to lift their voice, to make their voice heard. I want every man to be able to give a complaint and have it respected. I want every man out there to know that she loves you, even though she complains, and to have a little empathy for her complaints because it's the only way she knows how to deal with them is to talk about it. And if we can just get this yin and yang, these two different energies, to start to have a little bit of compassion for each other's pain, miracles happen. Love happens because, Chris, and this is, put this on my headstone. Love is energy you give away. You give it away in words like I love you, or touch, let's make love, or gifts, hey, I got you a coffee, or acts of service, I fixed your tire, or time, let's hang out. Love is not something I demand and I want and I need more of. That's not love, because love is energy you give away. And in today's society, nobody wants to give away energy because they're tired and they're exhausted and their employer takes from them and their kids take from them and their house and their mortgage take from them. But to be in a loving, healthy relationship means I have to give energy away.
And marriage, I've never been married, but from what I've seen, I know some people that have been married for 40, 50, 60 years. And the reason why their marriages have been successful and have lasted 40 plus years is because it's a partnership.
Yes.
It's an equal. There's not one person that does all the loving and the other one taking. It's give and take. It's a 50-50 partnership.
For sure. And the reality, and I say marriage, and I really, and I mean, that's why it's not called the marriage clinic. You don't need to be married to feel married. You just need to be committed. You need to be in a committed relationship. And it's almost never 50-50. It does this. It just seesaws 70-30, 80-20, 70-30, 80-20. So we always feel like I'm giving an enormous amount of energy or I have nothing and I'm looking for my partner to help fill me up.
Ronnie, what does a couples relationship coach entail? And can you tell my audience what services that you offer along with your other counselors?
Okay. Well, we're not actually coaches, even though a component of our work is definitely coaching. We really do believe in education over
Okay.
mediation. And anybody who comes, anybody at least at the couples clinic, has a master's degree in social work. They're registered social worker psychotherapists. They've had training in like the couples clinic method. And it's really about an opportunity to sit in a safe space, to learn and get some skills and practice them, whether it's hearing, learning how to hear a complaint, learning how to regulate, learning how to let go of a resentment, even recognize that you have a resentment, learning how to repair, like what the steps are and saying sorry, and having that kind of neutral, safe, confidential space where you're working with the therapist and dealing with issues that are really relevant to you. Whether that's we got into a fight about who picks up the dog doo doo in the backyard, or who was responsible for loading the dishwasher, or that I feel like every single time I try to initiate touch, you reject me and I'm not even feeling like I want to initiate anymore. So, whatever that issue that they're bringing to the table, we're helping them create a blueprint so that they can learn how to talk about hard things in session. So, just as quickly, we can push you out of session and get you practicing on your own. That's always our goal, is to get you out of therapy as quickly as possible. And the cool thing about therapy, and I'll just put it out there, at least in Ontario, most employers, if you have some kind of health benefit plan, in other words, your teeth or your medication, chances are our services are already covered. So you could always give us a call and we could work with you to help you better understand your insurance.
How many sessions on average do you do you have normally with your clients?
I guess it depends on the couple. I think that that's fair. I mean, I certainly 10 would be average. I've had people who've come up to me and told me I saved their marriage after one session because something clicked in them, which is kind of still crazy. And I've seen couples that who pop in and out over years. They come in, they do 3 sessions, they get over a hump. I don't see them for 2 years. They come back in, hey Ron, can you help us? La la la. So it depends. Generally, when my clients get the skills, they usually feel pretty fairly greatly equipped to deal with it. And I'm validated by the number of my friend referred me, that tells me that um, our work has great impact. because otherwise you wouldn't be telling your friends and family, hey, go see the couples clinics, they really helped us.
How satisfying is it to help people, and how important is a word of mouth for your business as well?
Very important. I mean, it builds credibility, right? It's probably like it's your most sacred thing, your personal relationship with your partner. It's not the kind of thing that most of us put up on Facebook. Um, and so to know that people take that risk is wonderful. It makes me feel like my work matters. And it's very fulfilling. It's very fulfilling because honestly, Chris, what other job in this entire planet do you get to sit front and center and watch two people fall back in love again? It's not something I'm allowed to talk about, um, but I always feel a great blessing, humbled, um, even unworthy of being able to witness such profound love happen in front of me. I didn't do that. They did that. Just because I asked some questions doesn't mean I'm responsible for it. Every single time I see a couple forgive the other person or become vulnerable with the other person, I'm in awe that they had the courage to do that.
Now, your sessions they're both in person and online?
Yes, in person here in Sarnia, but we work with couples all across Ontario, Toronto, Ottawa, North Bay, Thunder Bay, you name it, all the way, way, way up north to way, way south, and everywhere in between. As long as you're in Ontario, we can work with you.
How much has the internet changed your business over even the last 11 years?
Well, I mean, it really was. It didn't unfold really until it was forced to unfold back in 2020, and I came in to COVID. That's another story, but I I I worked every single day through the pandemic. And so I had a front and center seat to watch couples live through quite traumatic circumstances across Ontario. And I had to learn how to get good at online, how to be techie, how to troubleshoot on the fly, which was good and hard. And so it's become significantly easier. Um, but I know people always still love, I mean, people love the energy of in session, but sometimes, pardon me, it's nice to not have to find childcare. It's nice to come to session in your pajamas, sitting in your own living room. I've literally had people put me up on their TV and sit on their couch and do therapy. So there's a lot of benefits to being able to cuddle your dog while sitting in a couple session.
For those people that are watching this live stream or on audio, how would you describe yourself as a couples therapist?
Salty, funny, honest, intense, educating, challenging, empathizing, validating, and I always endeavor to be healing. But in all honesty, Chris, you're going to hear every couple will hear this from me. I will say pretty much at the beginning of every work that I do is you can say no to me. You can disagree with me. You can give me a complaint. You can hit pause and you can always lay a boundary with me. They're going to hear this from me in the first session because I'm going to be looking to them in later sessions. I want the two of you to be able to complain, to say no, to disagree, to hit pause, and to lay a boundary. Because if we're going to be in a healthy relationship, if I love you and I'm doing life with you, then I've got to be able to do that.
How important is it to have empathy, and do you find some of these couples that are having some issues that empathy is kind of one of those issues that there's a lack of empathy there towards the other person?
Empathy is the core builder of attachment. We don't have attachment without empathy. And I think sometimes people misconstrue what empathy is. They think that if my partner comes to me with their pain, their complaint, whatever is wrong, that it somehow becomes it's on me to fix it. It's on me to solve it. And that's not empathy. Empathy is just acknowledging with compassion, which sounds like, oh, that sucks. That sounds really hard. Wow, that must have been really difficult. Is there anything I can do? I'm here. I'm not saying, well, you should have done this, and did you try to do that? And what about this? That's me fixing. I don't fix with empathy. I just like acknowledge the pain. I see that you're in pain. I'm acknowledging it, and I'm telling you that really sucks, and I'm sorry you're going through that. That is the backbone of attachment and love. And yet, for some reason, people really shy away from it because they feel like it's not enough. But it's everything. Most people don't want their problems fixed. Trust me, allow me to fix my own problem. I'm an adult. I can do this. I just want a little bit of sympathy, a little bit of validation that it really sucks and it's hard to fix it while I'm going through it.
The word I wanted to use too, as you being a therapist coach too, is listening. Sometimes people just need somebody to listen and have an outside perspective instead of having a family member or a close friend. That outside perspective and listening is huge.
For sure, for sure. But we don't listen to understand, we listen to reply. And if we can just get back to listening to understanding, that creates space for the other person. And then they feel safe to talk about their pain because they do feel heard.
Ronnie, what is your mission with the couples clinic?
Uh, well, I got a couple. I have a personal mission. It's big, and my lifetime mission is to help save 1 million marriages by giving couples the skills and tools they need to be able to heal their own relationship. Um, the first time I said that, I got a lot of laughs, and I got even shamed over it. And people would even like, well, how do you know? What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? And I'd be like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know. When you get called to a mission this big, you go in kind of blind. And you're just like, I'm just going to say it and see where the chips fall. And I'm not in a million, but I'm in the thousands. And that says something, right? And I'm still young enough. I'm going to figure it out. I'm sure the universe is going to help me in figuring out how I get there. But my mission for the couples clinic is probably to become the biggest brand of couples therapy in Ontario. I want to be the known brand. I want the couples clinic to be the trusted brand. And we're just currently in the we're expanding. Not only are we offering several different programs and helping people to communicate, we also offer a couple specific intensive retreat. So I'm blessed in that I have couples all across Ontario who will come and spend an entire weekend with me, and they will do 18 hours of therapy, which is like going to couples therapy every other week for 9 months, but you do it in one weekend. And it's a little bit of a boot camp. It's not about romance. It's about really resolving our stuff. It's about having repeated multiple hard conversations for the purpose of finally repairing, releasing, forgiving, moving forward, and building a 2.0 relationship. And it's not uncommon that most of these couples leave with like a 30 to 40 point agreement on things that they have finally resolved so that they can move forward in their relationship.
Ronnie, do you have any plans in the future for a book? And also, do you have a YouTube channel? Yeah, as of yet.
I do. I upload all my TikToks there. Uh, um, my TikTok is at love Ronnie Littlewood. And what was the first question? Sorry.
Any plans for a book in the future?
I've written a book, and it's actually called 1 Million Marriages Saved, which that's what you can find me on TikTok under. I've got 12,000 views there. Um,
Congrats.
Thank you. And I'm just currently shopping for a publisher. So it hasn't come out yet, but that's in the works.
And when it does come out, it'll be available what on sites like Amazon and at local bookstores?
Absolutely. That's the plan.
How satisfying is it to write your own book?
It's satisfying and it's scary. I think it's because I was open in my book, and my book is not what you would think it would be about. It's about how to change your relationship with pain within your marriage and within yourself so that you do have healing. And I had a very difficult upbringing in that I moved 18 times between the ages of 3 and 18. I attended 18 schools across Canada, and I lived in multiple blended families. I had 5 different stepfathers. So my model of love was flawed and harmful. And I talk not a huge amount, but it's about the growth I've also gone through in my life and in my own marriage of like 34 years and in my growth as a mother. It's like one small part biography, but mostly it's a teaching manual to teach other couples, specifically women, how to heal. But being vulnerable and open is always hard because most of us have shame around pain, which is kind of unrealistic because every human being who's ever walked the face of earth experiences pain. Pain is what makes us human. But we don't ever want to talk about it for fear of being judged for pain, even though it's a universal condition.
Ronnie, any plans in the future to do like merchandise, like T-shirts and hats as well?
Probably not. There's rules about that as a
The-
therapist.
Okay, okay. And since I have you on here, Ronnie, for a few more minutes, I'm going to play a video, a little bit of about your business, courtesy of Google. Just
Thank
give
you.
me 1 second. Let me know if you can hear the audio okay as well. I'm
Sounds
just
good.
going to turn the volume on. Yep, I wear 8 different hats literally with this show. So one
Fair
second.
enough.
Okay.
We don't want you to break up. The Couples Clinic is introducing couple specific intensive retreats. This is a 1 to 3 day retreat where owner Ronnie Littlewood works specifically with the both of you around your relationship issues. Located in beautiful Sarnia, Ontario, this intensive is devoted to helping you recognize and repair your dysfunctional communication patterns and rebuild your attachment. Rather than spending months in therapy, this weekend retreat focuses on the areas that you want to focus on by learning how to give and receive complaints and recognizing and releasing your resentments. You both will learn how to navigate difficult topics such as parenting, intimacy, and extended family, and move towards compromise. There's a famous quote that says a relationship is like a house. When a light bulb burns out, you don't go out and buy a new house. You fix the light bulb. You can bring back the light to your relationship. Contact us for a free 30-minute consultation on how we can help you today.
Ronnie, thoughts on that video?
I love the video, and I was surprised that I only started the retreats last June, and I'm um, surprised at the results, the feedback. The impact. Some of the clients have stayed in touch with me and told me that it's been life changing, and it's a beautiful thing to see people who really love each other and want to stay together work so hard at repairing the relationship. And again, it's that privileged, humble position I get to sit in to help people get where they need to get going.
How much of an impact has TikTok had on your business as well? And how I met you was through TikTok. I've met a number of people through TikTok, and I learned how to cut promos and media work through that site as well.
Yeah, TikTok has been what a gift TikTok has been. I'm still amazed that not as many people like me. It well, you know, Chris, it dominates. It's everything.
Yeah.
Not only you do learn how to edit and cut and lighting and sound and all the things, and you're forced to kind of get better at it. I was terrified putting my face in front of it. And although I think the thing that probably scares most people about going on YouTube or being in a public is that pushback, that rejection. And you do get it. I still get
Yes.
it. I get trolls, right? I get people saying crappy things to me. And I've learned to just recognize that that's part of it, but overwhelmingly the positive you get outweighs the negative. Not only have I just really been able to connect with some incredible people and had an opportunity to share my stories and have an impact on others, that in itself is satisfying. But yeah, I just love that if you type in my name in the internet, you see like 1,000 videos, right? So, I mean, professionally, it lends to your credibility as well. It's encouraged me to do more, use my skills, which are transferable into my workplace to create courses and webinars and everything else I need for my staff and for my clients. In every way, it has benefited me, despite the fact that Canadian creators do not get the compensation, say that the American creators do. It still is worth it for me.
Absolutely. And when I started this 5 years ago, I didn't want to be public. I was like, no, I'm going to keep it private. And one of my friends said, look, Chris, if you want to get into radio and get noticed out there in media, you've got to become public and open yourself up. And I would say 80% of the people have been really supportive and positive. And yes, you're going to get trolls, haters, sayers, and naysayers, but you just got to block that out and focus on what you're doing. It's important to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will believe in you. And I've grown the last 5 years in what I've done here, and it sounds like you've come a long ways as well, with starting out 11 years ago to now.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I'm probably, I'm hoping by before the end of the day, I want to film a TikTok because I want to give people a heads up about this weekend. Ask me why.
What's this weekend going on?
This weekend is Victoria Day weekend. And I've been in business enough years to know that my phone rings off the hook after Victoria Day weekend because people go out and they camp and they drink and they make impulsive decisions and they get into fights and they break up. And most of the time they break up because they're not enough communications around what the expectations is, whether who's putting up the tent or who's buying the food, or limitations like what is a healthy amount to drink? When do we cut off? Do we start drinking in the evening or do we start when we wake up? And if we can just have some clarity and communication around expectations and limitations, then we can all have a really fun May 2 4 without it ending with us screaming, crying, or breaking up. Or at the couples clinic.
Ronnie, I know when I was younger, I used to make decisions when I was upset about something, and now that I've gotten older, I try to learn that if I'm upset about something, to maybe step back for at least 24 hours or maybe a couple days to really think about it. And sometimes people can be upset and they can make hasty decisions. Do you see that in with what you're doing?
It's actually that's two pronged, right? Some people would say, Chris, that if my partner withdraws for days on me, that makes me feel anxious. It makes me think they don't care. It makes me feel abandoned. Um, so it can work against you. Do I think we need to take space to regulate, breathe, go for a walk, touch grass, drink some water? 100%. But I also think, and personally, that's what I do anyways. But I do think one of the things I've had to learn to be a good wife and a good couples therapist is that I need to be able to tell my partner how long I'm going to be out and what I need before I come back. Just taking 2 days without talking about it might actually make it worse. If I can say, listen, I'm not in a good place and I'm really struggling right now and I got to sort a lot of stuff out in my head. Can we reconnect on Tuesday and talk about it? Chances are your partner's going to hear you and agree that because now we've got a plan. But the hard part is communicating what I need in order to make a plan.
Ronnie, since I haven't brought this up yet, too, how much of an impact are kids with relationships and marriages now, too?
Can you say that in a different way?
Um, how much can, I guess, how much of an impact can the kids have on a marriage and relationship as well?
Well, I think that's a forever thing. I mean, I think people want to stay in marriage because of their kids. Um, but I also think that if your marriage is horrible or abusive, and it's not healthy, regardless of the kids, you've got to feel safe. And the reality is, no matter what school you're in, half of the kids in the class have a mom over here and a dad over here. So it's actually pretty normal for kids either way because they see it within their friend group. Um, if I want to get healthy, if I want to model good relationships and good communication to my kids, then go, learn, practice, do better. How wonderful that you can do that for your family. You might have not gotten it with your own parents, but if you can do that for your kids, then I celebrate you because what a gift you're giving to them.
Ronnie, are you good for another few minutes? Couple more questions?
Sure.
Okay. Can you explain to us about the prep method?
That was a workshop I did. It was actually the very, very beginning of my career, and I think I went to the States, and that was more learning how to do what they call the speaker listener technique. Um, and it was me dipping my toe into the couples therapy world. Since then, I got some training on emotional focus therapy and then dug in deep with the Gottman method, levels 1 and 2. It speaks more to the formal clinical training I've had as a couples therapist, as well as extensive amount of attachment training. But uh, I think anybody who comes to the couples clinic is going to have a very no nonsense, common sense, logical approach to if my partner is telling me that something I'm doing or something I'm saying is hurting them, then I have to acknowledge it. I'm never going to agree with it. Chris has been married over 30 years. I've never agreed with his complaint. I'm like, no, that's not true. And I disagree. And you're wrong. We all do that. Okay. Because we don't like to hear complaints. But it doesn't matter. I don't have to agree with your complaint, but I got to acknowledge it. The same would be like if my partner came to me with a broken leg and said my leg is broken and it's hurting me, I would never say no it's not and you're crazy, you're making that up, and your leg isn't hurting you. We would never say that because that doesn't make sense. But we do that with emotional complaints all the time. And so if I can learn how to just start to be able to sit in an uncomfortable conversation while hearing a complaint and acknowledging it, learning how to repair it, learning how to forgive it, then I can release it and we can get back to that better place where we're connected and we're touching and we're talking and we're spending time together and it feels good to be with you, not like I'm walking around on eggshells.
For those people that are watching this show live stream or an audio, and there somebody is out there interested in becoming a couples relationship therapist, what advice would you give to them, Ronnie, from your experiences?
I would 100% say you've got to be good with conflict. I think most therapists will run away from this work. They get scared. They don't know what to do. It feels very overwhelming dealing with two people who are dysregulated and screaming at each other, and they feel helpless. So if you've worked non with mandated clients. Maybe it's in prison, maybe it's in group home, maybe it's child welfare or Canadian mental health or in rehab. Or if you have dealt with some level of resistance where the person is escalated and it's your job to help bring them back down. If you can balance that kind of intense energy and you have a love for love and you are not scared of conflict, those are kind of like the primers you need. The rest is education, but it's mostly mindset versus what are the courses I need to take. Because you can take the courses, but if you cannot sit in the energy, then you're setting yourself up and you're setting the couple up too. So many couples go to bad couples therapists and have a terrible time because they don't know what to do, and then they look to a person to fix it, and they're not equipped to do that.
Since you started doing this 11 years ago, do you find there's more businesses similar to yours out there now too?
I've seen copycats for sure. And I think, it's growing and evolving. But I think part of it's growing and evolving is because there used to be a lot of shame around going to couples therapy. And again, when I'm looking at my millennials and I'm looking at my up and coming Gen Zs, they have a way more positive, healthier understanding around what is counseling, and that there's nothing wrong with me growing and evolving as a person and talking about pain. Whereas our earlier generations still carry the weight and shame of judgment before.
Do you feel the internet and social media has kind of shrunk couples communication skills, and with more relationships not succeeding, like it's a lot more easier now to cheat with these dating apps and all these social media sites than before?
I've seen it go up and down. I don't think, I think people have this idea of infidelity that, I'm going to go on Tinder or Ashley Madison. And yes, of course, that still exists. But the real way that most cheating happens is that I start attending to another person's pain or they start attending to mine. And it might look like, wow, that's really hard. And I'm sorry you're going through that. And thank you. It's really good to talk to you. You're really easy to talk to. The moment that we give our vulnerable emotional pain to somebody else and they start attending to it with empathy, love, and support, it creates an attachment. So if I'm doing this and I'm keeping it a secret, that is 100% a slippery slope for how most people end up in an affair. And they think, no, this is my friend and I'm not doing anything wrong and I'm just talking to them about my feelings. No, friend, that's an emotional affair. You're already in an emotional affair. And very quickly, it turns into a physical one. So I need to have better boundaries. And I need to know that if I'm keeping it a secret, it's a problem. And that's how it starts.
Also, the invention of phones too. I knew somebody years ago, without naming names, his wife wanted to see his phone all the time, and I'm thinking that's kind of a trust issue too with the phones. Just quick thoughts on the phones nowadays.
When people go through phones or emails or social media, it's a term that's called like mining. I'm going mining for information. And people mine for information, not because I'm going to get you, I'm going to catch you. It's never that. It's I've got screaming anxiety. And the only way to decrease my anxiety is by going through your phone and so what I'm doing is I'm trying to keep myself safe. I'm trying to create trust by proving to myself that there's no evidence, which speaks to obviously bigger issues. If I'm keeping secrets, if I'm not showing you my phone, then I'm giving you reasons not to trust me. And people who often have their phone gone through will say, that it's an invasion of privacy and everything. And to a certain extent, it is. But why why does your partner feel that anxious? What else is going on? What else is not being said that your partner is in such a heightened state that the only way that they know how to feel safe is by going through all of your stuff? The flip side of that is that I'm with somebody who's super controlling, who there's no reason for them to feel scared. I've never done anything wrong. I'm constantly being accused of doing things wrong. And that's also can look very much like an abusive relationship. So it can go both ways, right?
Ronnie, I do this with all my guests at the end of the show. What is a fun fact about yourself and being based out of Sarnia, Ontario?
Uh, what's fun, like about me being in Sarnia?
Or a fun fact about you in general?
I've got many. I mean, other than the whole million marriage thing, I think that's kind of crazy. I'm an adoptive mom. I think that's cool. I'm a scuba diver. I
Oh,
love to
cool.
snorkel. Yeah, but I don't practice scuba. I say it, but I haven't practiced it in years. I like to forage. I think that's cool. I like to look for plant medicine and wild mushrooms. So I love to oil paint. Just I'm learning Spanish. I'm on Duolingo. I think I'm at like 250 days of learning Spanish. Right? Hola. So I just I challenge myself to grow at every opportunity. I'm also probably the most spiritual person I know. I love spirituality, not religion. And I always love to see how I can be a better person. And I think how we all can be better people is that we have a willingness to accept that we can fail and accept that not everybody loves us and we're going to be rejected and accept that sometimes there's going to be pain, there's going to be broken legs and car accidents and dead dogs, and we never want any of those things. But if we can just have a little bit of kindness and empathy and tolerance and wiggle room for ourselves and for our partner, then we all can feel more loved. But it starts with me. I have to love me and I have to be kind to my pain if I want anybody else to love me and to be kind to my pain.
Favorite restaurant in Sarnia?
Probably Hannah. That's a sushi place. It's always packed. It's very good. Probably second Lola's. It's down the street. It's like this bougie, trendy little place you'd expect to see it in downtown Toronto, but we're lucky that we have it in Sarnia, and they have amazing food.
Best ice cream place in Sarnia?
Probably the rustic ice creamery. I think it's something like that. It's on Front Street. He makes homemade batches of
Oh,
hand spun ice cream, and it's always changing. And he'll use like high quality ingredients. If you can go there and just sit at the lake and eat ice cream, it's a good day, my friend.
favorite ice cream? Favorite flavor?
Pistachio, maybe pralines and cream. I'm a nut girl. I love the nuts.
For me, it's Moose Tracks.
Oh, that's really good too. It's got all the stuff in it.
Yes, absolutely. And Ronnie, as we wrap this up, how can my audience follow you on social media, your website, and the best way of contacting you if there's somebody out there that is looking for your services.
Well, please know that any of the clinicians at the couples clinic, we all offer a free consult if you're interested in starting couples counseling. And for anybody who's interested in the couple specific intensive retreat, I offer a free half an hour consult in the evenings. You can check our website, www.thecouplesclinic.ca. You can find the couples clinic on Facebook and Instagram. And I always love when new people follow me on YouTube or TikTok, which is at 1 million marriages saved. Please come and join me. Help save more of them.
And the couples clinic is located at 144 Christina Street South in Sarnia, Ontario, which I don't think is too far from the 402. And your email is info@thecouplesclinic.ca. And your
Yes.
telephone number I have here is 519-541-9173.
Yeah, that's all the check marks. Good job. Well done, Chris.
No problem. And it's always the guests that make a great show. And finally, do you have a quick question for the host CDP before we wrap this up?
I would say what is your biggest takeaway from today's conversation?
Just learning. I always learn something new from my guests. I guess the divorce rate, I would have just assumed it would be up more nowadays with the financial situation, the taxes, the high cost of living and stuff like that. So about the divorces and just some of the stuff you were telling me about relationships and stuff like that.
Well, I'm glad that you got an opportunity to learn, right? And just it was an amazing conversation. You're a great host. You ask incredible questions, and I'm so appreciative to being here.
Well, thank you so much. It's the guests that make the show. I'm just a host, and I worked in corporate security for 23 and a half years. So I had to learn to think on my feet, listen, and deal with people from different walks of life working in a gambling facility. And I think that kind of prepared me for this show, because this show is not just a sports show, it's a full talk show. And what I love about it is the storytelling part of it, the learning aspect of it, and connecting with my guests.
Well, thank you again, Chris, and much appreciated.
Well, thank you so much, Ronnie, for coming on here. Just give me a little bit of time this afternoon, and I will send you the video, the audio, and I will break this down into 30 to 40-second reel clips for those people who don't have an hour to watch your show, but they can watch snippets of it as well. And I will make sure I tag you in on TikTok as well. And please make sure to keep in touch with me as well.
Sounds good. Look forward to it. And you can also find a copy of this show on our YouTube channel, which is at Love Ronnie Littlewood.
And I will make sure I subscribe as well.
Ah, wonderful. All right.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. And I'm hoping to get up to Sarnia this summer too.
Wonderful.
For a visit.
Take care. Maybe we can have some ice cream together.
Deal. Okay, I'll buy. Thank you so much, Ronnie.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, that concludes season 10. Episode 43, overall 538 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by BarryCullin.com. I want to say thank you to Ronnie Littlewood for coming on here today. She is a couples relationship therapist, and she's the founder of the Couples Clinic in Sarnia, Ontario. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching this live stream and on my audio platforms. Thank you, Gordon, and to Robbie Schneider for watching this show as well. And before we wrap up this show, guys, I have another announcement to make, and that is the next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership here in Guelph, is going to be tomorrow, Friday, May 16th at 3 p.m. Eastern with my special guest, Nancy Singh. She is a global health educator, and we're going to talk about insulin, cholesterol, and how to avoid diabetes, and to eat healthier and to lose weight and feel better about yourself. So Nancy Singh, a global health educator, will be on tomorrow at 3 p.m. here on Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. And by the way, guys, the Toronto Argonauts are in Guelph for training camp. All practices are free to the public. They are practicing at Alumni Stadium during the week at the University of Guelph. Practices are free, and I have all the days and times listed here as well. And the Toronto Argonauts, who are in defense of their last year's Grey Cup championship, will play their first preseason game on May 24th at the Hamilton Tiger Cats in Hamilton. And then the Argos will finish up training camp and their preseason schedule Friday, May 30th. In about 2 weeks' time from now, against the Hamilton Tiger Cats Alumni Stadium at 7 o'clock. You can get tickets at the University of Guelph Griffin's website. So, again, all their practice times are here on my scroller as well. And again, you can check out the Couples Clinic at 144 Christina Street South, Sarnia, Ontario. You can email them at info@couplesclinic.ca, and you can follow them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and you can call them at 519-541-9173 as well. Before we wrap up this show, guys, iTunes country chart topping Olivia Lynn does it again and is set to release her ninth single on May 16th, 2025, which is tomorrow, in hopes of replicating her other early successes. Having parted ways from her former management team in 2024, Olivia Lynn has taken some time to write raw new material in her own unique UK country pop style way, with her lyrics based on her real life experiences. Olivia Lynn has been on my show a couple times, and she is very talented. This is the second release in an exciting new era for Olivia Lynn after releasing her other album Open in January, and she's looking forward to her fans and the music world in general hearing and enjoying yet another one of her songs written by herself. The return to music I'm going to reword this again. The return to the music industry is going well so far, with radio play already happening, especially in the UK, and we're looking forward to her first album this July 2025. Olivia Lynn's raw and unique talent certainly has people talking. Please find her Linktree link below, or you can check out check her out on Linktree below. The link is right there. Also, Google Olivia Lynn Music, and she is over social media, and you can listen to her music and support her music on Spotify and Apple iTunes and everywhere. So, Olivia Lynn, one of the best UK up-and-coming country songs. So please check her out on iTunes as well. As we finish up, guys, Barry Cullen Chevrolet, is the sponsor of Chris Pome's Live with CDP Sports Entertainment Talk Show. Right now at Barry Cullen Chevrolet, check out a 2025 Equinox LT all-wheel drive midnight edition, lease from $218 bi-weekly. That's like $109 weekly at 5.5% interest for 48 months with $4,200 down payment on an ultra low kilometer lease. More details at barrycullen.com or drop by Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall, and tell them that Chris Pome sent you as well. And Barry Cullen Chevrolet has been a proud sponsor of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show for the past 2.5 years. Also, guys, if you want a personalized video message from yours truly, check me out on Cameo Family, cameo.com/Chris Pome. If you'd like birthday wish, pep talk, readings, would like to ask me questions about my talk show, my media work, my career change, or my media freelance work with the Toronto Argonauts and some other teams, go to cameo.com and type in Chris Pome and book your Cameo today. As we wrap up the show, guys, as we finish it up, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. And fingers across, eventually StreamYard will partner up with TikTok as well. You can follow my website on beacons.ai/Chris D. Pome, all my social media sites, all my media work, and my WordPress articles are on beacons.ai/Chris D. Pome, and make sure you hit subscribe. I am now back on TikTok, guys. I have a new TikTok page at Chris Palme. Make sure you hit follow and check out my content. And I post a lot of reels and clips from Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show there. So again, check me out on TikTok at Chris Palme and make sure you hit that follow notification. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. If you're into webinars or podcasting, check out StreamYard.com. They have basic free plans or paid professional. They have paid professional plans like I have. Or if you're a business that does a lot of webinars, go to StreamYard.com and contact their sales department for business pricing. I have been with StreamYard for over 4 years. I give them a big thumbs up for live streaming. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. The audio versions on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, Tuned In, YouTube Music, Good Pods, and please remember to hit subscribe and follow there as well. Finally, guys, you can email Live with CDP Sports Entertainment Talk Show at cpalme19@gmail.com. Any comments, questions, suggestions, feedback would be greatly appreciated. And if you'd like to tip the host because you're a fan of Live with CDP Sports Entertainment Talk Show and CDP Media Productions, you can tip the host at PayPal at cpalme19@gmail.com. And as we wrap up this show, guys, I have a little bit of sports news for you guys. We have the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs going on again tonight. Dallas at Winnipeg tonight at 9:30. Dallas is up 3-1 in that series and can clinch it with the win tonight in Winnipeg. And we have 2 NBA games going on tonight. We have Oklahoma City and Denver. Oklahoma is up 3-1 in that series. And the other NHL game, too, I forgot, is Carolina at Washington. The Hurricanes are up 3-1 over the Capitals, and they can close out that series as well. And the Detroit Tigers, the best record in baseball right now. The Tigers are 29-15 after their exciting 6-5 win over Boston last night at Comerica Park. The Tigers are off today, but they are in Toronto at the Rogers Center this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, taking on the Blue Jays. And yours truly will be at the game Saturday with the Tigers and Blue Jays. And Reese Olson will be pitching for the Tigers on Saturday. So make sure you check out my social media page Saturday for pictures, videos, and who knows, maybe an interview or two from the Rogers Center. So I'm so excited about that. And the Toronto Argonauts training camp is going on here in Guelph this weekend. If you want more details about their practice schedule, I would suggest following Mike Hogan, their manager of communications, on Twitter X, as Mike Hogan has all the information there as well. And the Argos will be in Guelph until the end of May. And then they'll play a preseason game here Friday, May 30th at 7 o'clock against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And also, devastating loss last night for the Leafs. Losing Game 5 at home at the Scotiabank Arena, 6-1 to Florida. I know Nick Robinson scored that goal, but I'll tell you this, you got to give the Florida Panthers credit. After their first 2 losses to the Leafs, everybody kind of wrote them off, and now Florida is now 1 win away from getting back to the Eastern Conference Final. So can the Leafs rebound and win Game 6 in Florida, then beat them in Game 7? The only way the Leafs are going to win this game, they have to play better as a team. And I'm going to assume Joseph Woll is going to start in net for the Leafs tomorrow. Even if he doesn't start in net for the Leafs tomorrow, they have to get off to a good start. The Leafs cannot afford to fall behind in this game. The Leafs need to have a strong first period, and they've got to get production out of Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, John Tavares, Morgan Riley, William Nylander. Their big superstars need to come through here. If this Leaf team loses tomorrow or Game 7 against Florida, this is 9 straight years with this core 4 has failed. So to me, this is the last chance for this core of Toronto Maple Leafs to get it together. So it's going to be a big game for the Leafs tomorrow, because I suspect if they lose and they're out again and lose 4 straight to Florida, I expect big changes. Obviously, Craig Berube is a new head coach, and the coaching staff will be safe. But Brendan Shanahan, who knows? And Mitch Marner is a free agent. So tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Florida and Toronto in Florida. This is a huge game for both teams, but specifically the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we'll see. And again, I want to say thank you to Ronnie Littlewood for coming on here today, a couples relations therapist and the founder and owner of the Couples Clinic in Sarnia, Ontario. And I have another comment here from Robbie Schneider. Hello, Chris. Go Bandits. Speaking of National Lacrosse League, we got the NLL finals going on Friday night. Game 1, 7:30, KeyBank Center, Saskatchewan, Buffalo. If there's any tickets left, I would advise going on to bandits.com now and getting your tickets. If not, you can watch the game on TSN or ESPN as well. And I want to say congratulations to the new Tom Boreali award winner for the National Lacrosse League's top media person, John Berkler, the longtime voice of the Buffalo Bandits since 2004, finally won the award. So congratulations to John Berkler for winning the Tom Boreali award as well. Bandits, Saskatchewan, best of 3, first game tomorrow night at 7:30. Game 2 will be in Saskatchewan on Sunday night at 8 o'clock. And if there's a game 3, it would be on May 24th at 4:30 at the KeyBank Center. So please check out the Buffalo Bandits Saskatchewan Rush. I think it's going to be a 3-game series, and the Bandits are only 2 wins away from three-peating as world champions as well. And that is about it, guys. Again, I want to say thank you to my guest, Ronnie Littlewood, for coming on here today. And thank you to everyone watching this live streamed and on my audio platforms. And I thank you to everyone for subscribing to my YouTube channel. I'm over 606 subscribers now. I never thought I'd get to 600 plus subscribers. And I'm just under 400,000 views. So really appreciate your support on YouTube and also on my audio. I have 9,000 plays on Spotify and listeners into 45 countries. So I really appreciate everyone watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. And thank you to all my wonderful guests. I hope everybody has a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 3 o'clock, Friday, May 15th at 3 o'clock with Nancy Singh, a global health educator. Have a great afternoon, everybody.